Now, We Are Breaking Up opens during K Fashion Week in Busan. Designer Ha Young-eun and coveted freelance photographer Yoon Jae-guk have a one-night stand. Despite the intimate encounter, they remain anonymous to one another, with Young-eun reasoning that they won't meet again and neither having any interest in love or commitment. Suk Do-hoon, the CEO of a fashion PR agency, returns to Korea to secure a sponsorship deal with iconic fashion brand Olivier. Head of the brand, Olivier de Saint-Sauveur, currently has his eye on the photographer known as Mr. J, who is none other than Jae-guk. Young-eun is on the design team for Korea's top fashion brand, The One, and they also have their sights set on partnering with Olivier. She's waiting for a meeting with him when her CEO calls. He gives Young-eun instructions to get his daughter, Hwang Chi-suk, who is also the design team's director, to a blind date scheduled for 7 p.m. This task shapes up to be a difficult one, with Chi-suk on the verge of a breakdown outside the hotel room where her lover, a model for The One, is currently cheating on her. Young-eun does some major contract damage control, while Chi-suk gets physical with the girl the model cheated on her with. Jae-guk, who is staying in the same hotel, is in the elevator when Young-eun and the model get on and mistakes them as a couple. We learn that Do-hoon is already close to Jae-guk, and he conspires with Jae-guk's mother to set up a blind date for Jae-guk at 7 p.m. Young-eun is told that Olivier canceled their meeting for today. The bad news continues when she's alerted to the fact that Chi-suk is still at the hotel getting drunk. Young-eun backtracks to the hotel to try and persuade Chi-suk to get ready. The pair clash over Young-eun's cold commitment to her work and Chi-suk's ability to act without care because of her family ties. In the end, Chi-suk gets Young-eun to go to the date while pretending to be her. Jae-guk arrives at the restaurant and quickly realizes he's been tricked into a date. He's about to leave when Young-eun walks in and introduces herself as Chi-suk. She shows no sign of recognizing him and is about to cancel the dinner when she spots the delicious array of food. She stays, having had to skip meals all day, but keeps working as she eats. Jae-guk tells her he's a freelance fashion photographer and suggests that they could have met before. Young-eun simply says that she doesn't remember encounters with no impact and cuts their time together short. On Young-eun's way out, she receives more bad news. None of their portfolio photos for Olivier have been printed and the original file is missing. Young-eun arranges an emergency photo shoot and petitions Jae-guk to be the photographer since everyone else is already booked for Fashion Week. At the photo shoot the next day, Young-eun treats Jae-guk like a novice, believing him to be a rookie in the fashion photography scene. He quickly proves her wrong, taking charge of the shoot and producing great results. Young-eun still poses as Chi-suk, unaware that Jae-guk has seen Chi-suk's social media and knows that Young-eun is not her. At Olivier's FW trade show that night, Nam Nari from the One's design team arranges to have illicit photos taken of the clothes so that she can leak them online. Young-eun catches her and wants to know why. As it turns out, Olivier already signed a contract with their competitor and avoided telling them, meaning the whole emergency shoot went to waste. Jae-guk, who accompanied Do-hoon to the trade show, discreetly listens in as Young-eun reprimands Nari for crossing the line. Jae-guk attends Olivier's after-party at Do-hoon's behest. As he enters, he accidentally causes Chi-suk to stumble and catches her before she falls. She's left awestruck and looks at the ticket he gave the doorman to see Do-hoon's name written there. Jae-guk catches sight of Young-eun and follows her to the second floor, where she's meeting with Olivier to urge him to reconsider. Young-eun gives passionate responses to Olivier's questions about the philosophy behind her work, but Olivier is more concerned with profit. Young-eun gets a little teary just as Jae-guk enters the room. Olivier is ecstatic to see Mr. J, but Jae-guk informs him that by rejecting the photos Young-eun presented, he also rejected Mr. J. Jae-guk buys Young-eun a consolation drink. She nonchalantly reveals that she's known he was her one-night stand the whole time, but didn't find it necessary to delve into it. She doesn't manage to stay ahead of Jae-guk on the scoreboard, though, after he reveals that he knows she's not Chi-suk. K Fashion Week has drawn to a close, with Jae-guk arriving in Seoul for a short stop before he returns home to Paris. An emergency meeting is called by the One CEO to discuss Sonos, the sublabel Young-eun heads designed for, fall from first place for sales in the last week. Young-eun is also drilled on the One's 30th anniversary event now that competitor brand, Lucia, is hosting a huge show on the same day. Since foreign brands are taking over the Korean market, Olivier was intended to be their edge over Lucia, and Young-eun is blamed for losing the deal. Chi-suk also uses this as an opportunity to pretend like it happened because Young-eun didn't wait for her to run the proceedings with Olivier. Young-eun doesn't crumble under the pressure, already armed with a new plan to harness the combined following of popular influencers and celebrities to promote the anniversary event. At the helm will be the most popular of them all, an influencer named Hyrin. The CEO cuts the meeting off there, wanting to speak with Young-eun privately. He admonishes her for taking charge with Olivier instead of staying in her place and spoon-feeding Chi-suk advice. Chi-suk herself joins them, and her father implies that she should continue meeting Jae-guk. Do-hoon, who is organizing PR efforts for the anniversary event, gets a call from Hiren's team to inform him that she wants to switch sides to Lucia. He heads straight to his office, having to bring along Jae-guk, who was in his car when he got the call, for an emergency meeting with Young-eun and Chi-suk. When Chi-suk arrives asking for Do-hoon, she is devastated to find the real Do-hoon instead of Jae-guk and refuses to believe that he is himself. She only stops her verbal punches when Jae-guk, motivated by the prospect of seeing Young-eun, appears before them and joins their meeting. Young-eun introduces Jae-guk to Chi-suk, helping her connect the dots to realize that he's the blind date she skipped. Jae-guk is irked by Young-eun's obvious attempt to avoid his advances. Jae-guk tries to talk to Young-eun after the meeting, but she makes it clear she wants to end their interaction there and heads off. His mother calls, and he meets her for the first time since coming back to Korea over coffee, though he is cold and distant. She insists that he should keep meeting Chi-suk so that he can settle down. This draws his ire, and he blames her for causing his older brother's death by keeping his brother from doing the same thing with the woman he loved. Jae-guk walks out abruptly. Young-eun's mother, who happens to walk past at that moment and knows Jae-guk's mother from their shared cooking class, remarks on how much of a catch Jae-guk is. On his way out, Jae-guk messages the celebrity, Shin Yoo-young, to let her know he's back in Korea. Young-eun's mother goes to meet Young-eun, who is buying her father a new suit for his retirement celebration. It's expensive, but she assures her parents she can afford it and organizes installments for the bill. That night, Young-eun mentions her dire finances in a call with her friend, Park Hyo-ju. Now that her father is retiring, she'll be the breadwinner for her family. The next day, everyone is busy with event preparations, and Do-hoon struggles to keep Hiren on side even as she demands more and more. At her fitting appointment, Hiren is dissatisfied with the clothes she is given to wear for the event. Hiren wants to alter the designs and becomes cruel when Nari tells her that's not an option. Hiren issues an ultimatum, saying that she won't attend the event if the designs aren't altered. The design team and Do-hoon set about trying to find a last-minute replacement for Hiren. Young-eun makes a last-minute heartfelt plea to Yoo-young to appear as their main celebrity. Jae-guk, who has been relaxing at the office, approaches Young-eun after everyone else has left. He notices the picture she uses for her phone's background and comments on the bad exposure and composition, declaring the unknown photographer to be an amateur. Young-eun, on the other hand, finds its flaws charming and authentic. We flash back to Paris 10 years ago, where Young-eun spots the photo in a street vendor's collection and buys it on the spot. She's in Paris to study fashion alongside Chi-suk. Although, it's more like Chi-suk is fun while Young-eun does the work for both of them. Young-eun, whose education is funded by Chi-suk's father, can do nothing but play along. Back in the present, Young-eun enlists Jae-guk's help to get the clothes back to the one's office to prepare for the event. They end up in an elevator and Jae-guk presses for Young-eun to consider exploring their relationship. She's firmly against it, knowing that she'll be shunned in the industry if she dates the man Chi-suk has been set up with. Jae-guk reveals he is leaving for Paris tomorrow and urges Young-eun to be honest with him. She presses her lips to his briefly in response, but steps back when he leans in again, telling him to leave their relationship there. We flash back to Paris again to see that Jae-guk was the amateur photographer that took the picture Young-eun cherishes. At the anniversary event, Yoo-young makes an appearance after receiving Young-eun's message and a call from Jae-guk asking her to attend. At the same time, Jae-guk attends the 10th anniversary proceedings for his brother's death. During the taxi ride home, Jae-guk speaks to Yoo-young over the phone. She reveals something about Young-eun that leaves him in shock. At a catalog photo shoot the next day, Young-eun shows up to find that Jae-guk is their photographer. She displays some warmth towards him for the first time right before he asks her if she knows Yoon Soo-won, his older brother. Young-eun's internal monologue describes Soo-won as the object of her passionate youth. To Jae-guk, she says that Soo-won is the person she's still trying to break up with. This time, we flash back 10 years to Paris and watch Young-eun meet and fall in love with Soo-won during her fashion school days. Another flashback then shows us a longer version of Jae-guk's call with Yoo-young. She tells him that Young-eun is that Young-eun. As the flashbacks end, Jae-guk asks Young-eun what her relationship with Soo-won was. She blocks the question by asking why she should answer. Before either can continue, the photo shoot begins. Meanwhile, Chi-suk, who has decided to pursue Jae-guk, ropes Do-hoon into setting up an interview with Jae-guk to continue his professional relationship with Sono, and hopefully extend it into the personal realm with Chi-suk. Young-eun sets up a dinner between Chi-suk and Jae-guk to discuss the interview. While Chi-suk is on her way, Young-eun meets Jae-guk at the restaurant to request his discretion regarding her filling in for Chi-suk on their blind date. Jae-guk tries to direct the conversation back to Soo-won, but Young-eun doesn't bite. Chi-suk is almost there, so Young-eun gets up to leave. At that, Jae-guk brings Young-eun's choice to have shallow interactions with multiple men into question, juxtaposing it against the seriousness of Soo-won's feelings 10 years ago. In another flashback, Soo-won stresses the importance of having at least one proper meal a day, helping Young-eun find some peace in her busy schedule. At the one's office, A potential subcontractor drops off homemade food. She introduces herself to Sono's youngest design team member, Young So-yeon, who carries the specification sheet for Sono's new dress design. That night, Young-eun is doing housework at her apartment when a very drunk Chi-suk arrives at her door along with Jae-guk, Do-hoon, and Kwak Soo-ho, who works for Do-hoon and is Mi-suk's husband. Inside Young-eun's apartment, Do-hoon notices the framed picture, taken by Jae-guk, that Young-eun bought in Paris. While Jae-guk stares at it, we flash back to Soo-won driving in the rain. He ends a call with Jae-guk as he swerves to avoid an oncoming truck and crashes into a roadwork site. In the present, Young-eun is in her walk-in closet when Jae-guk enters without permission. When she tells him as much, he pesters her about Soo-won again, wanting to know what Soo-won meant to her. Young-eun is fed up, disclosing that Soo-won apparently cut ties with her without explanation. We then flash back to Young-eun on the night of Soo-won's crash. She waits for him at a restaurant and calls him multiple times. He speeds through the rain, missing the calls. She finally gives up and walks home, obliviously passing Soo-won's wrecked car as it is towed away. As the flashback ends, Young-eun tells Jae-guk that she's been trying to break up with the misery and self-pity she felt that night ever since. Jae-guk, finally appearing to listen to Young-eun's pleas for him not to jeopardize the life she's built, prompts the group to leave. Soo-ho goes home to Mi-suk while Do-hoon escorts Chi-suk in a taxi ride home. Jae-guk also begins to walk home, but stops and turns back to Young-eun's apartment. He rings her doorbell, but she doesn't answer. He keeps ringing as she hesitates on the other side of the door. When she eventually pushes the door open, Jae-guk embraces her. They kiss as they make their way further into her apartment. Jae-guk only returns home the next morning to find Do-hoon looking distressed. In a flashback to his taxi ride with Chi-suk, she flings herself onto him as he nervously tells her to wait. The driver makes a hard turn and Chi-suk falls further onto Do-hoon, kissing him. Do-hoon lets Jae-guk know that his interview is cancelled. We cut to the one's office where news has broken that their dress design was leaked and other brands have already released copies. Young-eun is reprimanded for the leak and is told to have a plan to make up for the losses that will be incurred. So-yeon cries, and we flash back to her conversation with the subcontractor. The subcontractor cons So-yeon into showing her the specification sheet, even though she hasn't been offered the contract yet. As the flashback ends, the one CEO tells Young-eun to cancel their new dress line to prevent damage to the brand's image. So-yeon wants to resign to pay for her mistake, but Young-eun tells her to stay and take responsibility instead. Young-eun enters a shopping center where Sono knockoffs are everywhere. She gives Nari the instruction to continue the release of their design, confident that people will still pay for the prestige of the original. She heads back to the office in the rain when she drops her phone. As she picks it up, Jae-guk appears with an umbrella to cover her. He knows about the leak and asks if she's had lunch, stressing the importance of having at least one proper meal a day. The sentiment reminds Young-eun of Soo-won, and she asks what relationship the two had. Jae-guk reveals to her that Soo-won was his brother, and that he died 10 years ago. At the night of Soo-won's death, as he calls Jae-guk from his car, Jae-guk is confused by whatever Soo-won tells him, but the car crashes before Soo-won can explain. In the present, Young-eun questions all the resentment and misery she's held onto without knowing Soo-won passed away. Sono's popularity is in a steady decline, and the new dresses aren't selling, even though Young-eun went ahead with their release. Yu Young, who is a department store director, relegates Sono's shopfront to a less desirable location. CEO Hwang asks Young-eun to jump off the burning ship that Sono has become and take over a licensing deal with the imported brand, Claire Marie. Chi-suk finds Do-hoon at his office. He's expecting an apology from her, but she doesn't even remember the taxi incident. He asks about Young-eun, and Chi-suk mistakes it for him having a crush on her. Jae-guk meets Yu Young at her department store and makes his intention to stay in Korea known. On his way out, he passes Young-eun, who is checking on Sono's storefront. She's distracted by his presence, though they don't acknowledge each other. Mi-suk invites Young-eun out for lunch after Soo-ho ignores her. As they eat, Young-eun breaks down and lets her know about Soo-won's death. At the same time, Young-eun's mother, Kang Young-ja, tries to befriend Jae-guk's mother, Min Hyo-kei. Young-ja boasts about Young-eun while Hyo-kei remains distant. Later, Mi-suk gets a checkup, believing that she is pregnant. The doctor finds that Mi-suk is not pregnant, but has an unusual growth causing similar symptoms. At her apartment that night, Young-eun has a flashback to earlier in the day when she told her team about Claire Marie. Young-eun puts a damper on her team's fighting spirit by reinforcing the company's decision to dissolve Sono. Nari questions Young-eun's apparent resolve, leaving her wordless. Young-eun pulls herself out of the flashback and boxes up all the old belongings she's been holding onto. She calls Mi-suk, who sits alone at a bus stop but pretends that Soo-ho has taken her to dinner to make up for ignoring her. Meanwhile, at Do-hoon's apartment, Chi-suk proposes to help him date Young-eun if he helps her date Jae-guk. Do-hoon doesn't bother to correct her assumptions. She finds out about Jae-guk's infatuation with Young-eun after snooping through his laptop and discovering the secret photos he snapped of Young-eun at the first shoot they did together. Chi-suk rushes over to Young-eun's apartment to confront her, but gets distracted by the tower of boxes Young-eun has built. Chi-suk can't believe that Young-eun is ready to move on, asking if Young-eun is okay with abandoning Sono. This time, Young-eun rants about the tireless effort she's poured into the brand. Chi-suk reminds Young-eun that she also had a lot of fun over the years. Chi-suk leaves without mentioning Jae-guk, and Young-eun looks through an old concept portfolio she made for Sono. On one of the pages is a handwritten message. She has a flashback to when she told Suwon that Sono, meaning echo in Latin, would be the name of her first brand. Jae-guk visits what was once the site of Suwon's crash. We flash back to their call again, and Suwon says he's on his way to meet someone. The next day, Jae-guk takes Young-eun to visit Suwon's grave. Jae-guk has a flashback to a discussion he had with Suwon in Paris. Suwon must return to Korea and feels like he should break up with Young-eun so that he doesn't hold her back. Jae-guk tells Suwon to give her a choice instead. Back in the cemetery, Young-eun speaks of how much she loves Suwon even though their relationship only lasted 2 months. She draws clear boundaries with Jae-guk, stating that she only sees him as Suwon's brother now. Chi-suk's younger brother, Hwang Chi-hyung, arrives at the one. CEO Hwang wants Young-eun to be his supervisor, putting him on the Claire Marie team with her. Instead, Young-eun negotiates to stay with Sono for its few remaining seasons in exchange for mentoring Chi-hyung. Young-eun is leaving the office when Jae-guk comes up to her. We flash back to his time in Paris 10 years ago. He's asked to ghostwrite a student recommendation letter for Young-eun. He adds the handwritten message we saw in Young-eun's concept portfolio, writing that he hopes her passion will become a Sono echo. He needs to rush to a shoot, so he gets Suwon to deliver the portfolio with the letter to Young-eun, allowing the two to meet for the first time. We also flash back previous conversation with Yu-young. Yu-young starts to warn him away from Young-eun, but he stops her, reasoning that Suwon is no longer around. The flashbacks end and Jae-guk wants to know if Young-eun missed him, saying that he missed her. We then transition into a montage of all Jae-guk's pivotal interactions with Young-eun. When it ends, he tells Young-eun he missed her. Some time later, Sono's design team hits a roadblock when Young-eun learns that all the supplies ordered for Sono are being redistributed to Claire Marie. Chi-suk, now on the Claire Marie team and still not over being jilted, backs the redistribution. Chi-suk also informs Young-eun that the factory Sono usually works with will be used for Claire Marie. The two are interrupted when Jae-guk, who is now taking up work indiscriminately to earn enough to settle in Korea, arrives to partner with the Claire Marie team. At a hospital, Mi-suk attends an appointment alone. The doctor tells her that she has late-stage pancreatic cancer, which has spread to multiple organs. While she receives the bad news, Suho is shown to be having an affair with his junior colleague, Seo Min-kyung, who he gifts a bracelet to. Meanwhile, CEO Hwang pulls Jae-guk, Chi-suk, and Young-eun into his office. He repeatedly mistakes old stories of Suwon for Jae-guk until Jae-guk discloses that he spent most of his youth in Paris. Young-eun has a flashback to Suwon avoiding her question about having siblings. Afterwards, Young-eun is alone in a storeroom when Jae-guk comes in and tells her that he and Suwon had different mothers. When Young-eun is surprised at the sudden information, Jae-guk explains that she looked curious in CEO Hwang's office. She doesn't deny it, making him glad that she cared. The pair are interrupted by Chi-hyung. He has procured a list of possible factories to work with from Go Gwang-soo. Young-eun and Chi-hyung go from factory to factory, and Young-eun finds flaws in each one. One looks promising until Young-eun spots Ms. Choi, the subcontractor who leaked their design, working there. At the same time, Chi-suk invites Jae-guk for coffee. She suggests beginning a relationship, but he completely rejects her. On her way back to the office, Young-eun detours to find Mi-suk buying a heap of clothes for her daughter. Mi-suk has ditched her frugal ways after the doctor told her to quit her job and get hospitalized, though she doesn't say as much to Young-eun. She also advises Young-eun to live freely and date Jae-guk. Yu-young bumps into Hyoke, who mentions that she is keen to support Jae-guk's mystery romance, not wanting to make the same mistake that she did with Suwon. We flash back to Yu-young growing tense as she watches a video of Suwon and Young-eun. In the office storeroom, So-young meets with Oh-in-a, a rival team leader. In-a tells her to steal Young-eun's designs in exchange for a promotion. Neither of them notices Chi-hyung listening in from behind a shelf. Elsewhere, Young-eun's father, Ha Taek-soo, is in a heated argument with a man in front of 2 police officers. The man accuses Taek-soo of beating him, while Taek-soo claims that the man fell while running away after scamming him. Jae-guk, who was out taking street-style pictures, filmed the whole incident and proves Taek-soo's story. Chi-hyung updates Young-eun with his discovery, and she calls a design team meeting. Young-eun gives So-young a book of sketches she drew at So-young's age, telling her that opportunities will come if she continues to focus on improving her designs. She also tells So-young that a good superior would only nurture her talent, not ask her to compromise her morals. After the meeting, Young-eun gets a call from her distressed mother and heads to the police station to find her father and Jae-guk there. After the police wrap up their questions, Taek-soo wants to treat Jae-guk to a meal. Young-eun sends him home with the promise that she'll treat Jae-guk instead. Do-hoon discards his busy schedule to accompany Chi-suk to an art exhibition and a dinner reservation she had planned for herself and Jae-guk. At dinner, while Chi-suk gets drunk, Do-hoon clears up her misunderstanding about his supposed crush on Young-eun. Mi-suk arrives home to find that Soo-ho has been slacking off. They argue until he answers a call from Min-kyung under the guise of speaking with a client. He presents an idealized version of his life to Min-kyung while taking out the rubbish and doesn't notice when Mi-suk's hospital bill lands in the paper bin. Over dinner, Young-eun tells Jae-guk that she wants to work with Ms. Choi, even though it would cause an uproar. Jae-guk convinces her to follow her heart rather than hesitate because of her fear. We cut to Yoo-young as she looks over an old wedding invitation that lists her as the bride and Soo-won as the groom. After the rest of the design team has called it a day, So-young stays behind. Chi-hyun goes to the CCTV monitoring room and catches So-young taking something from Young-eun's desk. Chi-suk wakes up in Do-hoon's apartment after blacking out at dinner. She comments on the fact that he didn't take advantage of her, observes his dainty behavior, and spots framed posters of Elton John before concluding that he's gay. As Young-eun and Jae-guk walk home, Young-eun contemplates how she's been letting her hold on her emotions slip around Jae-guk. She monologues about how passionate feelings don't last long before relationships fizzle into regret to keep him at a distance. As Young-eun walks away from Jae-guk, he calls her phone and tells her that he took the photo she bought in Paris. Jae-guk proposes that they break up the connection they began with that photo and that, while they do, they should embrace their love.